Tonight, gone in seconds.
Now, when I watch the video, I kind of can't help but laugh at just how fast it was.
Looking under the hood at suspicious vehicle tows in Transcona. Also tonight, facing violence instead of fires.
We're walking into some pretty unpredictable environments.
How authorities are responding to rising instances of violence towards Winnipeg firefighters. Plus, not so busy bees.
I think it slowed us down in some production in the honey flow.
How wildfire smoke and other environmental issues are taking a toll on Manitoba's honeybees.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Catherine Dow. Marilee is away. Something unusual is happening in Transcona. Yesterday, we told you about a brazen vehicle theft by someone driving a tow truck. Since that story aired, CTV News was contacted by a number of people with similar stories. CTV's Harrison Shin has more.
And it kind of sucks because today is my birthday. So I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not doing anything.
Transcona's Tia Sawa got a rude early birthday surprise Monday.
I was just getting ready to go to an appointment, and then when I walked out, I noticed the van was gone, and then I kind of thought, oh, I could have sworn I parked it there, and I checked the back, it wasn't there, and then I checked the cameras, and sure enough, at about 1:30, someone had taken it.
Her van was stolen by someone driving a tow truck, all within 10 seconds.
The tow truck pulled past my van with I guess, the equipment already down, and then they just backed into the van and lifted it up and took off with it.
The speed of the incident was a huge shock for her.
When I watch the video, I kind of can't help but laugh at just how fast it was.
On Tuesday, Sawa reached out after CTV News reported a similar theft in her neighborhood, and it's not the only other incident.
At 6:10 this morning, I woke up, and like I always do, I open up my curtains, and my van's not there. I'm thinking, did I actually move it somewhere else? And kind of look down the street. No.
Maria Wilfing is in the same area and also noticed that her van was missing Tuesday morning. She made a Facebook post which another neighbor responded to.
It was a couple streets over from where I live, and it was just right in front of her house. So because I posted it early this morning and she saw the post, she went, hey, this is that van.
The woman who found her van confirmed the incident with CTV News but did not want to be identified. Wilfing can't be sure, but she says she suspects her van was towed as well given what is happening in her area. Winnipeg police confirmed that reports have come in about theft by tow truck, and they are asking the public for any information, including video. Sawa said she is glad that the community is looking out for each other.
It can be overwhelming, but I think that everyone's doing a really good job just keeping on top of things and letting everyone, communicating what's going on.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg's mayor and Manitoba's justice minister are backing calls from the firefighters union to toughen federal laws to protect first responders. The United Firefighters of Winnipeg says violence is increasing for their members and paramedics on the job. They want changes to the criminal code to crack down on offenders who assault emergency personnel. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So, Jeff, what is prompting all of this?
Well, because of what happened over the weekend on Friday, a firefighter was struck with a metal pole. On Sunday, a man with a knife confronted a crew on a medical call and threatened them. While responding to a pickup truck fire on Princess Street Friday, police say a man struck a fire truck and then a firefighter with a metal pole. In a separate incident Sunday, the United Firefighters of Winnipeg say a crew responding to a medical call had to disarm an individual who confronted them with a knife and threatened to kill them. The union says this is becoming all too common for emergency responders who are simply trying to help people.
It's incredibly upsetting to hear that sort of commitment returned with threats or violence.
So the UFFW is calling on the federal government to toughen laws. They want a separate offense for assaulting firefighters, paramedics, and healthcare workers, similar to one for police officers, and they want the acts considered as aggravating factors during sentencing.
The toll taken on society when injury is inflicted on these essential workers needs to be reflected in the punishment.
The Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service says it is concerned too.
Complexity of incidents and the amount of violence that we're experiencing has gone up significantly over the last many years.
Mayor Scott Gillingham is crafting a motion for council this week, backing the union's ask.
Even if someone is in the midst of, an intoxication, there still has got to be a measure of consequences, because at the end of the day, we have got to protect our staff.
Manitoba Justice Minister Matt Wiebe is also on board. He's writing a letter to the feds. Wiebe also says he'll see if there are provincial laws that can be tweaked.
We're asking people to put themselves in harm's way as firefighters, as first responders, and we got to show very clearly that we've got their backs.
The union also says first responders in other cities wear stab and bulletproof vests, something that's been discussed in Winnipeg.
We need to equip our members, and so I'm certainly open to those discussions.
The Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service says first responders are trained on how to avoid dangerous situations and on de-escalation measures.
Now, Jeff, what is the federal government saying about all of this?
We reached out to the Justice Department to ask about this because there have been other pieces of legislation before Parliament that would address this, but they were never enshrined into law. We are still waiting back on a response.
All right. Thanks for this, Jeff. The wildfire situation remains dynamic across parts of the province's north as crews continue to try to keep the flames from getting any closer to several communities. Let's bring in CTV's John Hendricks now with more. So, John, what can you tell us about firefighting efforts in some of those hot spots?
Catherine, there's both good news and bad news coming out of Lynn Lake. On the positive side, officials say they're assessing when it will be safe enough to allow people to return, but the risk still remains high. On social media, the town says the fire 9 kilometers to the south on the bottom of your screen is near hydro infrastructure. And while crews have built up fire lines, it's not yet out of danger. Now, as for the fire to the north, it is around 80,000 hectares and still considered out of control. But it hasn't changed much in the past week. Now, over in Thompson, officials say the main goal today was to finish wrapping up the west flank. Another fire popped up west of the city last week, but it's unclear at this time how big it is. Meantime, on the east side of the city, several tankers and helicopters are keeping that fire at bay until crews can get to work setting up fire lines. And crews are said to be making good progress keeping the fire to the south at bay, such that they should be able to soon start clearing away vegetation and building fire breaks in that area.
We have trucks from all over Manitoba up here right now. You know, we've Morden, Winkler, Taché, the OCN, the Paul were here. It's just been a phenomenal response by everybody from, coming to our aid.
Mayor Colleen Smook says that includes 20 firefighters from Mexico, and she adds that firefighters are also on the way from New Zealand. Now, all of that being said, Catherine, Thompson is still reminding people to keep their bags packed just in case an evacuation becomes necessary.
Now, John, any updates from the province tonight?
Not much new to share, Catherine. Crews are responding to 122 active wildfires across the province right now, and the government continues to prep shelters in both Winnipeg and Portage la Prairie just in case more communities are evacuated.
All right, thanks for this, John. Meantime, Canada Post is offering free mail forwarding to Lynn Lake and Leaf Rapids residents affected by those wildfires. Residents from these communities have until August 15th to register for the service. You can register through Canada Post website or by visiting a post office. Proof of identity is required. And as the wildfire fights continue, some producers are worried about the impacts that thick smoke wafting across Manitoba could have, from farmers' fields to honeybee hives. CTV's Danton Unger reports.
Kon Peseshnikov has been keeping bees since he was a boy.
We run around 100 or so hives.
The owner of Bee Boys Honey and Meadery keeps hundreds of thousands of bees buzzing on his property southwest of Winnipeg. The honey being used in all sorts of products, from craft mead to sparkling tea. But this year, he says wildfire smoke has been having an impact on his hives.
The heavy smoke, you could see the small activity here in the yard, in the bee yards. They weren't as much as active.
Environment and Climate Change Canada says it's been one of the smokiest years on record, prompting several air quality warnings.
So at Winnipeg, for example, we're actually at our third smokiest year on record.
Peseshnikov says the smoke makes the bees more docile and impacts their sense of direction and smell.
It's a little challenging for them to find the nectar.
And that means less honey.
We have certainly seen smoke like this in previous years, but not for the length of time it's been smoky.
Paul Gregory with the Manitoba Beekeepers Association says smoke paired with other environmental threats like drought and pests could lead to a big drop in yields for the province's roughly 200 honey producers.
I would guesstimate between 25 and 30%.
And it's not just the apiaries that will be feeling the impact with the loss of these expert pollinators.
Crop farmers, farmers that are growing clovers, trefoil, buckwheat, fruit crops, they're all impacted because if they don't have the honeybees, they're not going to get the seed yield.
At Pasechnikov's hives, he says, between the smoke and dry conditions, his harvest will take a hit, though he won't know just how bad until the end of the year. But like the bees themselves, Pasechnikov says beekeepers are resilient.
Every day is a learning curve. You can come to a yard and the bees look really, really good, or they look really weak, and then they just turn around overnight sometimes. It's a funny creature.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady joins us now with a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Welcome back, Colleen, from vacation. Speaking of the smoke, how are we doing out there with those smoke levels?
Well, over the past hour, the air quality index for the city of Winnipeg is at a 2, which means we are at low risk for poor air quality. It's all relative, of course. I noticed the smoke start to pick up again myself in downtown Winnipeg this afternoon after we got a bit of a reprieve with the rain coming through yesterday and into this morning as well. Now, there is one area in the province under a special air quality statement tonight close to the source of that wildfire smoke where fires continue to burn in eastern Manitoba. Other areas, of course, will be smoky. Now, as Danton just mentioned in his story, this is one of the smokiest years on record for Winnipeg. We're going to drill down a bit and take a look at just how smoky it's been and how it stacks up to some of the other smokiest years in the city. That's to come. Let's take a look right now through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. It's 20 right now under a mix of sun and cloud. Windy too. Winds coming from the north-northeast at 26 kilometers an hour with wind gusts up to 36. The pressure is rising and the humidity right now, Catherine, is 44%.
Thanks, Colleen. The province is reporting the death of someone who was in custody at the Winnipeg Remand Center. Manitoba Justice says a 36-year-old man died there yesterday. It was not able to share any other details about the person, citing privacy reasons. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner has been notified. Winnipeg police are asking for your help locating a missing 54-year-old man who was last seen nearly 2 years ago. Police say Alan Childs was recently reported missing, having last been seen in November 2023 in the St. Boniface area of Winnipeg. Childs is described as 5 feet 7 inches tall with a thin build, short blonde hair, blonde goatee, and blue eyes. The Winnipeg Police Service is concerned for his well-being. They ask anyone with any information about his whereabouts to contact the Missing Persons Unit. Expansion is underway at the Port of Churchill and the Hudson Bay rail line that runs to the northern town. Arctic Gateway Group says a new critical mineral storage facility is now up and running at the Port of Churchill, which it says will triple the port's storage capacity, and a second-wave freight train, which brings goods to communities along the rail line, has been added to the weekly schedule. The federal and provincial governments have spent millions of dollars on the rail line and port as a way to secure a trade route through Hudson Bay and the Arctic to overseas markets. There will soon be hundreds more trees standing tall in Assiniboine Park. The Assiniboine Park Conservancy is one of more than 24 organizations getting a funding boost from the feds to plant more trees. It's aiming to plant 600 new trees over the next 3 years in an effort to increase biodiversity and offset the losses from Dutch elm disease.
Losing trees to Dutch elm disease, elm trees in particular, is a large concern because elms are the dominant species across the city and in the park too. And so these replacement trees are different species, and that's one of the goals of this program, is to diversify the plantings across the park and the zoo, which is what we are doing here, and also helps ensure a long-term program where trees will survive for the next generation.
The funding is part of the federal government's 2 billion trees program. If your municipality or community is interested, applications are open until September 18th. Some Manitobans without health cards can now receive care from doctors in hospitals. Doctors Manitoba says physicians are now able to use good faith billing. It means they can bill regional health authorities for treating patients who don't have a valid Manitoba health card. That may include newborns, newcomers, those experiencing homelessness, or those recently released from prison. In a news release, Manitoba Health Minister Uzoma Asseguara says good faith billing gives physicians more time to focus on patients instead of chasing down paperwork. The billing doesn't cover tourists from other countries, patients from Quebec, and most out-of-province students. Doctors Manitoba says to be eligible for good faith billing, services need to be provided in a hospital. 4 blocks of Graham Avenue are now a pedestrian zone, and we're learning more about how the area is being transformed.
There's 2 artists per block. You can see the kind of hockey rink shaped areas. So each of those is a unique artist. And then there's 1 artist in between that ties everyone together.
Those artists created the public art that runs along the street. Flowers in pinks, oranges, and yellow give the area a pop of color. And work is underway on lighting. New lights have already been installed under the Skywalk by Canada Life Centre, and 7 other unique installations will be going up along the avenue in the coming weeks.
The city is hoping to get funding to do more permanent interventions. Right now it's a pilot project, so we're testing to see what works, what people react positively to, and then things will change as we go forward.
The downtown Winnipeg Biz says overall response has been positive. The city is also tracking use of the pedestrian zone. Results from that are expected in the fall. Motorcycle Ride for Dad riders can now show their support all year round.
For guys over 40, get checked.
That's the awareness organizers hope to raise with the new specialty license plate. They are now available for motorcycles, cars, and trucks through Manitoba insurance brokers. $30 from each plate sold will go towards the Manitoba Prostate Cancer Support Group.
Physically, they may remove the disease from you, but mentally it stays with you forever. And the support group does great work, both with men during their battle with prostate cancer and after.
Since 2009, the Manitoba Motorcycle Ride for Dad has raised over $5.7 million, including $700,000 this year alone for the fight against prostate cancer. Still ahead, keeping the lights on.
The grid that we have today has not been designed for accommodating such extreme scenarios.
Canadian officials look for electrical protections as climate change and worsening weather pose an increasing threat to our nation's power supply. The annual pace of inflation accelerated to 1.9% in June, according to Statistics Canada. Excluding energy, annual inflation was 2.7%. The removal of the carbon price continues to dampen annual price comparisons. Food inflation cooled somewhat to 2.9%, and shelter inflation dipped slightly to 2.9% as well. Here in Manitoba, the annual rate of inflation was slightly above the national average at 2.2%. Turning to the markets, crude oil dropped 44 cents. The loonie slipped under 73 cents U.S. Gold futures lost $22. The TSX fell 144 points. The Dow Jones plunged 436 points, and the Nasdaq added 37 points. Police are asking for your help locating a suspect in a stabbing in Fort Garry. It happened Sunday in the 1600 block of Pembina Highway. Winnipeg police say a man was working on a car in a parking lot when he was approached by 2 men who tried to steal his property. During the altercation, one of the men stabbed the victim several times. He's now recovering in hospital. Police are now looking for a man between 17 and 27 years old, between 5'4" or 5'6" rather. He has long, dark, curly hair and was wearing a tank top, red shorts, and gold chain. The other is described as a man in his 20s, about 5'9", wearing dark shorts and a dark hoodie. If you saw the assault or were driving by and may have dash cam footage, you're asked to call police or Crime Stoppers. A new study finds an alarming disparity in fire-related outcomes in Indigenous communities compared to non-Indigenous ones. The National Research Council of Canada identified just under 4,100 residential fires within Indigenous communities between 2005 and 2021. Those resulted in 179 injuries and 191 deaths, a rate that is 5 times higher than in non-Indigenous locations. Manitoba had the highest rate of incidents and second highest rate for deaths and injuries. While the most common cause and locations are similar between communities, the rate of death was not. Deaths linked to heating equipment were 10 times higher in Indigenous communities, and those related to human failing were 12 times higher. The council says the report highlights the need for Indigenous-specific data to inform fire risk reduction strategies. From extreme heat this summer to extreme cold in the winters, you've probably noticed wild weather swings over the past few years because of climate change. And that's putting massive amounts of stress on our power grid. And there are warnings that in the next 5 to 10 years, half of North America's population, that's about 300 million people, could be at risk of blackouts. With more, here's the newest recipient of the Sachedina CTV News Fellowship, Rukhsar Ali.
Extreme weather events have left thousands of Canadians without power, sometimes for weeks. And climate change could make it worse.
The grid that we have today has not been designed for accommodating such extreme scenarios.
Between 2013 and 2023, Canada's 10 most significant weather events that impacted power grids caused about 20 million electricity interruptions to customers.
More shortfalls can occur during these extreme weather events, and it poses a serious concern for reliability.
A recent report from the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, found that most provinces were found to be increasingly vulnerable during extreme weather, putting them at risk of shortfalls. Nova Scotia, one of the most vulnerable.
We've had Hurricane Dorian, Hurricane Fiona, which is the biggest storm we've ever had in Nova Scotia. We had Hurricane Lee, we've had wildfires, floods, pretty much everything, and all of those have weakened the power system.
Utilities like this in the province are taking some future-proofing steps by swapping out older poles with stronger ones.
The lightning hits, and all of a sudden there is a short circuit.
At the University of Toronto's Grid Modernization Centre, Ali Hushiar and his team are running real-time simulations using super-powered computers to find solutions. One solution is smart technology. That includes sensors and software to communicate information along the grid, to make supply decisions faster and to minimize disruptions when the grid's under pressure. Climate change isn't the only factor putting pressure on the grid. So is increased demand, with more people using everything from electric vehicles to heat pumps.
We're going to need more wind, more solar, more hydro, more nuclear to be able to meet the challenges of the future.
And the artificial intelligence boom is another potential challenge. Massive amounts of electricity needed to run thousands of servers.
10 years ago, if we were told that 10 years later, one of your biggest challenges is going to be AI data centers, people would think that this is just science fiction.
The major challenge is meeting Canada's energy needs before demand outpaces progress. But with more frequent extreme weather events and more strain on the grid, that task is becoming more urgent. Rukhsar Ali, CTV News, Toronto.
9 First Nations in Ontario want provincial and federal laws intended to fast-track infrastructure projects declared unconstitutional. A legal challenge has been launched against the federal law known as Bill C-5 and the Ontario law known as Bill 5. Indigenous communities are seeking an injunction, saying both laws represent a clear and present danger to the self-determination of ways of life on their territories. The First Nations insist they are not anti-development. They simply want to see necessary information is gathered before proceeding, and rights and protections are respected. Today, as the Prime Minister walked into a virtual emergency meeting with his inner circle to discuss U.S. President Donald Trump's threat of 35% tariffs on all imports starting August 1st, Mark Carney had some modified messaging, casting doubt on Canada securing a tariff-free trade deal. CTV's Rachel Aiello on Carney putting Canadians on notice.
Expect that the discussions will intensify between now and the end of the month.
Staring down an August 1st deadline, today the Prime Minister convened a rare summer cabinet meeting to discuss U.S. President Donald Trump's latest 35% tariff threat. With the goalpost moved again, Carney lowered expectations that Canada can get a deal that would result in Trump dropping all tariffs, noting that so far no country has managed to secure a tariff-free trade agreement with the U.S.
It certainly comes off as a bit of a wake-up call.
It's an admission this lawyer, who used to litigate for Canada against the United States, says sends a clear signal to businesses.
If a baseline tariff does look like it's going to stick, then all of a sudden you can't operate in that environment forever, and you have to make real lasting decisions with respect to your customers and your suppliers.
Trump today sounded more optimistic about how talks are going.
We're negotiating with Canada right now, and we'll see how that all works out. I think it's going to work out very well.
This comes as data suggests Canadians are split on their confidence in Carney delivering a deal. New polling shows 63% of Canadians surveyed said they want the Prime Minister to push back and take a harder line in negotiations, while 37% prefer a softer approach.
Domestic confidence is going to be important. Carney needs to feel like he has a mandate from the people of Canada.
Carney campaigned on a promise to take on Trump with his elbows up. But since winning the election, even as the president has ratcheted up the trade war, Canada has not levied any new retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
If Donald Trump says he's frustrated, the Kremlin is frustrated too, asking why Trump is threatening to increase tariffs. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says Russia wants to understand the true motive behind Trump's tariff threat. Trump says Russia must agree to a peace deal in Ukraine within 50 days if it's to avoid tariffs of up to 100%. Lavrov says Russia will cope with whatever sanctions come its way. It's something all golfers dream of, and one young woman did it on her very first round.
At first I was kind of like, oh yay, great. And then everyone was like, oh my God, like my friend Emily, she cried. And I was just like, what? Why are you crying? And then, yeah, I just kind of thought everyone got a hole-in-one, like maybe every few rounds.
All lifelong golfers, including my dad, should put earmuffs on because this will be hard. So that's right. Emma Strong got a hole-in-one her very first time golfing. Strong is from England and is working at an Alberta golf course for the summer. She was talked into playing by a friend, and it was on the fourth hole on a par 3 on the Mount Lorette course in Kananaskis. Blue, gold, and seeing red.
Clark's looking to throw again. Far side intercepted. It's taken away.
How the Bombers are gearing up for a rematch against the Stamps after a blowout loss in Calgary.
And speaking of that game, Friday, cloudy during the day. There is a low chance of showers during the day, a high of just 21. But I'm going to jump back a day in time to Thursday, 23 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud. By the time we get to the weekend, that's when we'll have more of those July-like temperatures returning in the mid to pushing into the upper 20s. Saturday, 26 and sunny, mix of sun and clouds. Sunday, 25 degrees. The possibility of showers returns Monday with a high of 25.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are hoping to exact some revenge on the Calgary Stampeders on Friday night.
Clark's looking to throw again. Far side intercepted. It's taken away.
The Stamps handed the Bombers their first loss of the season earlier this month. It was a lopsided score of 37-16. Winnipeg's defense has had a hard time getting to opposing quarterbacks, but Bombers head coach Michael O'Shea says he's not concerned. His focus is on holding back their opponents by any means necessary.
I've never talked about sacks. I would be more pleased if every time they got near the quarterback they took the ball away, because the sack that's high school. Taking the ball away is pro.
The Bombers host the Stampeders this Friday at Princess Auto Stadium. Kickoff is 7:30.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
And now CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady has your complete Skywatch weather forecast. For those heading to the Bomber game, Colleen, maybe bring an umbrella?
Well, at this point, the chances are still low, but still worth a mention. That during the day anyway, there is the possibility of showers. And you'll notice it's a little cool for this time of year. And you saw the forecast for Friday, 21 degrees, our high temperature. But let's talk about the smoke. As everyone knows, it's been very smoky, not just in Winnipeg, but all across Manitoba, northwestern Ontario. Is this the smokiest year on record for Winnipeg? No, not just yet, but so far it is the third smokiest. As of 1 o'clock today, there were 172 hours of smoke observed by Environment and Climate Change Canada in the city. The year for the most smoke, you have to go back to 1961 for that, 304 hours of smoke. But the one other thing worth noting, if you look at 2 through 5, the second through fifth smokiest years on record for smoke in Winnipeg, just in the last few years. 2022, we got a bit of a break, but really the last few years as a cluster of years have been the smokiest. So something worth noting there. As for the smoke, worth noting, we got a bit of a break with the rain that came through yesterday here in the Winnipeg area, and this morning it did pick up a bit as we got into the latter part of the afternoon. There is a special air quality statement in effect for those areas close to the source of those fires around Nopaming Provincial Park in eastern Manitoba. We did have some showers that moved further south today, though, through southeastern parts of the province, missing Winnipeg, but it's moved off well now, those showers into northwestern Ontario there. In the north tonight, for the most part, it will be dry. A lot of areas partly cloudy, but right around Thompson, there is the risk of thunderstorms both this evening and tomorrow. But aside from that, not much expected in the way of any precipitation, and that's a risk. That's by no means a sure shot that you'll see those showers or thunderstorms develop in that area, but something worth noting. Overnight, we'll see the clouds clear here in the south and across much of the province. Winds will be a lot lighter than they have been throughout the day here in Winnipeg and across the south. Light winds tonight in the north as well. Throughout the day tomorrow, perhaps a bit of scattered shower activity picking up in northern parts of the province, but again, the odds are quite low. It should be a dry day here in the south, and again, another cool one by mid-July standards. We should be hitting highs in Winnipeg up around 26 for this time of year. We won't get there until the weekend. Overnight, we go Wednesday night into Thursday. You can see pretty clear, at least the sky conditions anyway, but this is not picking up any smoke on the future cast. For tonight, we drop down into single-digit territory. 9 mostly clear, winds out of the north at 30 until the overnight hours, then they diminish. North winds tomorrow for the commute, mix of sun and cloud, 13 degrees on the way to a high of 21, with clouds building up in the afternoon, those north winds strengthening a bit too. The UV index for tomorrow, Wednesday already, is 7 or high. Up in the north tonight, up in the northeast, Churchill down to 10. Same thing for Gillam and Island Lake. 8 overnight for Thompson. And then again tomorrow, there is that low risk of thunderstorms with a low or slim chance of showers really in Thompson. 23 there. In the northwest tonight, clear, and 9 in Lynn Lake. Partly cloudy for the rest of the region. Tomorrow, sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud. Highs of 21, 22. In the southwest tonight, Brandon down to 7. Dauphin down to 7. A little bit more cloud there. Sunny in Dauphin tomorrow, 21 degrees, really 21 no matter where you go in southwestern Manitoba, including Brandon. Winnipeg in the southeast tonight, just a few clouds, a little chilly, overnight lows between 8 and 10 degrees, and then tomorrow increasing clouds into the afternoon, highs in the low 20s. And in northwestern Ontario tonight, a low chance of showers, partly cloudy or cloudy conditions. Kenora 19, sunny and windy in Dryden with another high right around 18, 19 degrees. Our first weather photo takes us out the other way into the southwest near Boissevain, and a look out at the Souris River from this bridge. That photo is from Pat. Now this pair, this is Jaeger, the big guy. He's 2. The little guy is Wilson. He's 9 months. They're enjoying the warm and relatively smoke-free morning out in Poplar Point. Thanks to Barb for that photo. Email us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Generally and naturally, our appetites just drop in the summer.
Turns out there's a reason why your appetite drops as the mercury rises. We'll explain why and what you can do about it up next in Medical Watch. Chronic pain is estimated to affect 1 in 5 adults, yet it often doesn't appear on blood tests or scans, leaving many people feeling dismissed or without any answers. But a new study is illuminating why this type of pain is often discounted and how it can be better assessed and treated in the future. Joining me now to share more about this is Etienne Vachon-Presso, who is the lead author of the study and a member of McGill University's Allen Edwards Center for Research on Pain. Hello, Etienne. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's start off by talking about chronic pain. It can seem like a very broad term. What is it exactly, and why is it so difficult to diagnose?
Yeah, that's a good question. Chronic pain is a very deeply personal experience that is somewhat difficult to measure using standard medical tests. One good example is how medical imaging of tissue damage, once we have an injury, is actually a poor predictor of how people will experience pain. And overall, that's because what the patient is feeling is not just determined by the physical damage, but also by other personal factors, such as, for instance, sleep quality, stress, and mood that can all contribute to that painful experience. So overall, there is not a one-to-one associations between the manifestations of a disease or an injury and how pain is experienced or felt by the participant.
And of course, that's really the focus of this study. So tell me what it entailed exactly.
Yeah, so what we did is we used large existing data sets, such as the UK Biobank, that have about 500,000 participants. And that allows us to do machine learning, where we train algorithms to identify biomarkers that can be either changes in the brain, genetic predispositions, or inflammatory blood markers. And what we see is that these biomarkers that we identify were capable of predicting some of the clinical conditions associated with pain, such as rheumatoid arthritis and gout, and we were capable of forecasting their evolution in time. What we couldn't do with these biomarkers was, however, to predict the subjective experience or feeling of the patients in the study. Once we added psychosocial factors such as sleep quality, stress, and mood, amongst others, we were capable of not only improving our capacity to make these diagnoses or predicting their evolutions, but we were also starting to be capable of predicting how pain is subjectively experienced by the participants.
So what were kind of the main takeaways from this data that you compiled?
So the general idea is that we believe that we need to move forward a more holistic approach, meaning that to really understand complex phenomenon such as chronic pain, we need to look at it in its whole. So not just focusing on the biological manifestations of the disease, but we need to move towards more a patient-centered experience. So if we want to improve, for instance, treatment or diagnosis or forecasting of the evolution of the disease, we need to consider individual factors such as these psychosocial variables that are really entangled with the biological manifestations of disease.
And this could help doctors, health professionals down the road in how to treat this type of pain?
Yeah, we really hope so. We really hope that this can improve treatment quality or the approach. But this is already what we're starting to see or already seeing in tertiary care units, where the treatment is not just about the condition itself, but it's also to try to understand the patient as a whole and propose more tailored therapies that can be long-term therapies, such as psychological support, for instance, that can improve some of the conditions.
So you say this study also sends a message to people living with chronic pain. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the idea is really to acknowledge and recognize that their pain is real, even if not picked up by medical standard. That pain is really complex. Again, it's not a one-to-one relationship between disease or manifestations of injuries and how it is experienced. There's variability between individuals, and we need not to dismiss the patients. We need to really listen to them and really integrate their personal history into tailored treatment approach to help them better manage their pain.
Really fascinating stuff. Okay, we will leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Officials are pulling another brand of salami off the shelves due to an ongoing salmonella outbreak. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has added Rhea brand Sopressata salami sweet to the recall. It joins Rhea brand Genoa salami sweet, Rhea brand Genoa salami hot, and Bona brand mild Genova salami, which were pulled from the shelves in June. The products were linked to salmonella outbreaks in Ontario, Alberta, and Manitoba, and now Quebec has been added to the list. 84 people have gotten sick and 9 have landed in hospital. If the heat outside is affecting your appetite, you're not alone. Experts say weather has a big impact on our relationship to food, and science has an explanation.
It actually has to do with the thermic effect of food. So we're not as hungry in the heat because our bodies don't want to get overheated.
Dietitian Julia Zampano with Cleveland Clinic says digesting food and stockpiling nutrients uses energy, which generates heat. And if your body is already hot, it may not want to create any more heat. Zampano says even if you're not hungry, it's still important to have a balanced diet. So try choosing the most nutrient-dense foods possible. That includes fruits and vegetables. And to make sure you're getting enough protein, try opting for ones that aren't as healthy.
Proteins can come from meats or fish, but it can also come from things like eggs and beans and dairy sources like cottage cheese and Greek yogurt.
And finally, Zampano says digestion can slow down when you're dehydrated, so make sure you're drinking plenty of water.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
The 50th annual Winnipeg Folk Festival was a hit, smashing attendance records once again. And this year's Emmy nominations were just released. We'll tell you who is leading the pack. That's up next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting R&B legends TLC.
50 years of Folk Fest is now in the books, and organizers say this year's semi-centennial celebration was a smashing success. The 50th annual Folk Festival set a new attendance record, drawing 79,000 people to Birds Hill Provincial Park for the 4-day festival. The previous record was set just last year at around 76,500. The lineup featured returning favorites such as Jason Isbell, Bruce Coburn and the Cat Empire, along with new artists like Peach Pit and Mavis Staples. The 51st Winnipeg Folk Festival is scheduled for July 9th to 12th, 2026. The nominations are out for this year's Emmy Awards, and Severance, an Apple TV original, is leading with 27 nominations.
Mr. Scout.
HBO original The Penguin is in second place with 24 nominations. Seth Rogen's The Studio and Season 3 of The White Lotus also with 23 nominations each. Original shows produced by streaming platforms such as Apple TV and Netflix are dominating the nominations. The official trailer is out for the upcoming Billy Joel documentary.
Back then, his whole life was the band. We just wanted to make as much noise as possible.
That's your first look at Billy Joel and So It Goes. The documentary explores the love, loss, and personal struggles that fueled his songwriting. Fans will get access to never-before-seen performances, home movies, and personal photographs. The first part premieres this Friday. Your primetime lineup kicks off at 7 with E-Talk, followed by Amazing Race Canada. Then Battle of the Generations wraps up the night at 10, all right here on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
20 degrees right now in Winnipeg. That's bright there, isn't it? Look at that reflection off the museum. That's a bit distracting, but at any rate, it's 20 degrees. It ought to be a little bit warmer than that. We only got to 21 for a daytime high this afternoon. You saw the camera blowing around in those winds too. Normal high for this time of year is 26. Warmer though, well, actually we were a little cooler than this day last year. 23.5 was the high temp last year. Tonight we dropped down to a cool 9, mostly clear. 21 on Wednesday, increasing clouds in the afternoon. 23 on Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud. Bomber game game day Friday, cloudy with a chance of showers, 21 degrees. Then we get back to July heat just in time for the weekend, Catherine. Sunny and 26 Saturday, 25 on Sunday. There's the possibility of showers Monday with a high of 25.
Thanks, Colleen. Today is Arctic Sea Ice Day, and Polar Bears International is using the time to focus on one of Churchill's most recognizable animals. And no, it's not polar bears. Adorable. So those sounds are why beluga whales are nicknamed canaries of the sea. Every summer, thousands of belugas make their way to Hudson Bay and the Churchill River. And today, Polar Bear International launched its beluga whale live cams. You can watch the whales swim, chatter, and raise their calves. Go to polarbearsinternational.org to see more. That's what I'll be doing tonight, I tell you.
The canaries of the sea.
I never heard that before.
No.
They're adorable. Yeah. I never got past baby beluga, so it gets in you young and favorite animal to this day. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us. Remember, you can watch CTV News anytime on our website. And join John Hendricks for CTV News at 11:30. Have a good evening.